everybody. Welcome back to Double Your Sales Now. I'm so excited because I have the amazing Nea Clare back today. She's back, and we're going to be talking about why you must begin with clarity to reach your goals now and in the upcoming year. So, Nea, welcome back. I'm so glad you're here.
Thank you. I'm glad to be back. Are you kidding? This is so exciting.
We're gonna have so much fun. I woke up today, I was so excited because I knew I was going to get to interview you, and we always get to talk about spiritual topics and how to really shift what's going on. So for all of our listeners, get out your pen and paper. I guarantee you're going to want to take some notes as you find your clarity. So before I introduce Nea, I just want to remind everyone that if you haven't yet, go to salescoachnow.com/gift. We have a PDF for you there. It's a one-pager on how you can double your sales right now, some things that you can follow to help you get unstuck. So definitely do that. And if you haven't left us a review on iTunes yet, we would love it. You can go to iTunes, leave your review there, come back, go to salescoachnow.com, giveaway, and we have something special for you there as well. And finally, for those of you who haven't come to play with us at the 2X Intensive yet, and you want to get to that next level, we have been helping clients build their model month template to 2X, 3X, or 10X their sales. And it's been incredible to see what's happening. In addition, we help you shave at least 10 hours off your work week. At the last event, we helped a woman create her business from around $250,000 to building it to $500,000. And she shaved 17 hours of work off her week, every week, which is a total of 68 hours. Here's what's crazy. She'd been doing this one task that she hated for years. And it was taking all this time every single week. And guess what? The person that could do this for her was already around her at about $20 an hour. So it was such a no-brainer decision. All of a sudden she went from thinking, why have I started this business to, I love my business again. I get it. So we'll help you build that dream team so you can create the business you want with the people around you who will help you get you to that next level. So again, go to salescoachnow.com/apply, send us your details, and we'll get you all the information. So with that, let me tell you about Nea. Nea Clare is an activation coach and spiritual teacher who helps her clients connect to their divine nature and create a power to design the life they love. When you know who you really are, you begin to understand what you're capable of, and you find the willingness to do it. At the root of the work is the power of clarity, because with clarity comes the willingness for action. And if you've been hanging around this podcast for a while, you know that you have to be clear on what you desire or it can't show up. However, I think you're going to find that Nea's take on clarity is deeper than that. And it's going to help you see some of the places you might be stuck right now. So Nea, I love having you back. I'm so excited to have you back. So here's where we got to start though. I mean, look, we're still in this very different world, this very virtual world, which we were talking about at the beginning, where, it's just great to see our faces on Zoom and hang out with another human for a little bit that we haven't seen in a while. So what's been going on? Take us back to March when the pandemic showed up. Like, what has shifted in your world? What has changed in your world? What have the gifts of the pandemic been for you?
First of all, I love that we're talking about the gifts of the pandemic, because we all know the pains of the pandemic. But the gifts were very interesting. They came very quick for me. Right out of the gate, right after we found out that schools would be closing, that Monday, I had a meditation that came through, and I thought, this is so good. I'm just going to post it out on Facebook for people. This is nice. And by noon the next day, I had like 3 intuitive hits, let's say, to offer it every day at noon. And I remember thinking, well, yeah, I could do that. That's a great idea. What will it be? Maybe a month? Sure, I can do that. So I started by that Wednesday. So Monday, I got the meditation. Wednesday, I started doing a daily meditation. And we did it daily, Saturdays and Sundays at noon, every single day through June. And then I went to Monday through Friday. And that just transitioned to once a week 2 weeks ago. So it was beautiful in the fact that I didn't even know what I was signing up for. I am not a meditation person overall. I would say that I resisted meditation and for a long time because I couldn't get quiet. And here I was leading this every day, and it brought such a level of continuity to my day, connection with people because I was doing it live on Facebook with a group of people. We had about 20 to 26 people that would join every single day. And we built a community, we built a connection, and out of that came some really amazing opportunities for business. I did a book club that we just finished our third book. Phenomenal connections and building of awareness and deepening some spiritual meaning for people. And really it was a great way to stay energetically, mentally, emotionally afloat in a time that felt really tumultuous for people. So just really amazing as far as that. It was just new opportunities that I never would have considered prior to March.
Yeah. Isn't that interesting? All the different things we're doing now. And especially as business owners, like if you leaned into COVID, right, to see what was there for you, so many opportunities have shown up. And let's be clear, it's easy to fall into scarcity thinking. It's easy to fall into like what's not working. And, as you mentioned, the pain of what's happening. And if you turn on the news, you think that the world has ended completely, right? So underneath all of that, we've seen this. We've seen this amazing, I think, connection happening amongst people. I think of like one of the things I love to think about is, and I watched it again last night with Luca, our son, when the Grinch stole Christmas, right? And thinking about the Grinch. And at the very end, where all the Who's are out singing, even though everything had been taken away. And that actually makes me a little overclouded. I cry every time because they're out there singing. And here comes the Grinch. And he's like, well, I thought I ruined Christmas, right? And here you are, you're out singing. And I feel like that's where the world is right now. Yeah. Like we're the Who's who are out singing. So much has been taken away. And of course, in my first world, not a lot has been taken away. Let's be clear. I have a beautiful home. I have a car to drive. I have money in the bank. I mean, I have food on the table. So I don't want to take away from that. But for a lot of people, it's been mentally taxing, right? We might have our needs met physically, but emotionally and mentally, it's been very challenging. And at the same time, underneath that, I think the Who's are out singing. So, for you, like, what has it been like to create this community and to invite people into your community? And what have the results been for those who have joined you?
Yeah, it's been phenomenal. I will just say it's better than I could have architected with a lot of planning. It was just showing up every day and creating a space and paying attention. And paying attention in a different way, rather than what's going to build my business, it's what do I need to do today? It brought things really, really close. The other piece that was interesting is really building from a place of vulnerability, willing to do what other people couldn't find ways to do. That's what I realized was my superpower throughout this, is that I can, so I should. And so I created a space. It wasn't anything dramatic, but it started to open up to teachings. It started to help people have conversations and do one-on-one coaching with me to develop their spiritual connection to themselves, to something greater, if you call it God, spirit, the universe, whatever that is. And really building, instead of looking outward for answers, to go within and to find peace and ease and presence that we all talk about. We all want it, but to actually find it in the middle of what feels like a lot of chaos. So if you would have asked me again, like beginning of March, if anybody would have said, do you think you're going to be doing a daily meditation with a group of people? Do you think that the focus of your work has anything to do with like really building a sense of presence? I would have been like, yeah, but not like that. And here it was, the work evolved out of this and the opportunities started to spring up as a result. And I think, as you were talking about, I just want to say, I love the idea of the Who's singing. And I was like, what that is it's really our shared humanity coming through in the middle of chaos. We're finding ways to come back to the things that connect us, the things that make us human, the things that are innate in who we are, and holding that space with less distraction.
Yes. Yeah. So beautifully said. So, it occurs to me that all of our guests might not know your story. And, it's not long ago you left a corporate job that paid you extraordinarily well and, gave you some pretty good flexibility and all those things. So give us a little bit of like, and then the pandemic hit, right? Which as a business owner, this is for you, like I've been through the Great Recession, some very interesting times. It's when the world shifts, like you learn a lot about yourself and your business very quickly. So would you mind sharing with our listeners, just like, since you've left corporate America kind of and started your business, what has your journey been like? And then how did that prepare you, like the jumping off, how did that prepare you for the pandemic?
Yeah, I think that's a really good question. I think the piece I left corporate, well, my position had been eliminated, but even leading up to that, I had wanted to leave corporate for a long time. And the timing just wasn't right. And the door never opened to make that really possible in a way that matched what I was wanting to create for my family, which was ease and abundance. And so when the door opened and I jumped out, and I just remember thinking, the parachute's not going to open. And the parachute was open. There were multiple, there were backup parachutes. Business has been growing in a way that I could not have imagined, because it's been, what do I want to say? It's a consistent focus on service for my clients and staying focused. And what I do is I do intuitive work, and I do coaching, and I do teaching. And that work has evolved and refined and refined and refined to the point where when the pandemic hit, I was really spread in a lot of different directions. I was teaching classes in person. I had some events planned out through July that were in person. And I was able, because of what I was already doing, I was doing things on Zoom. I knew the technology. I was already building some online courses that I was able to move really quickly because of my confidence level in what I was doing, because I knew the technology, because I already had people somewhat trained to be able to move to online. I was able to move really quickly. And so what I decided is really to simplify. And it's been a journey of simplifying. I went from needing to be all things to all people, trying to get clients here, do this, do that, to what do I love to do? And what I really love to do is work one-on-one with clients. I do love group events. I do love group coaching. But I really love that one-on-one work because it's unbelievably transformative. So I put my energy there, and I've been refining down to that. I have group coaching. I do these other things, but it's not everything all the time. I'm not as diversified in that regard anymore. So it's been much easier.
Yeah. I think that word simplify is so powerful because it also ties to clarity, which we're going to talk about, right? Because you can't simplify until you're clear on what you want. So we're going to get to that. Before we do, though, let's talk about sales. I mean, a lot of our listeners all over the world, they're here. And a shout out to my friends in the Ukraine. Whoever's listening in the Ukraine, please email us at contact@salescoachnow.com because you've driven our show up really high in the ratings in marketing. So thank you for that. What have you been doing, Nea, that's worked really well when it comes to like just 2 strategies in the world of sales or marketing that have worked really well for you during this time?
Really, it was simplifying. I know that I know I'm really drilling that home, but when I was trying to do too many things, and it was actually making it harder for people to know where to go and what I was offering. So if I was offering a class, if I was offering coaching, if I was offering a workshop, if I was offering, it was confusing. So I decided to just streamline, especially during this time to focusing on coaching. I offer coaching. I do have a book club. Most of the people that are in the book club were also coaching. So it ended up being an additional service to the people I was already working with, and a couple of inroads for new people to come in. And then the meditation that I was doing was a great opportunity for me to connect with people on a daily or weekly basis. Mm-hmm. So I simplified. And then the other piece that I did is I looked at the offering and I adjusted my pricing to match what they were getting. So I looked at how do I make a package that works, that that is simple, clear to understand, and they were getting exactly they were getting an exponential value for what they were getting. And it's been wonderful.
That's amazing. Well, and I think, so part of it is you simplified by focusing on coaching, like focusing on one thing that we're going to market, which definitely makes it easier. And then you invited people to gather. So you created the book club, you created the meditation. So the free things, right? The meditation, especially, where people could come together and get to know you. And I think that's a great reminder. So taking a step back, just for our listeners, like, how did you invite people? Was it just a personal reach out? Was it a phone call? Was it an email? Was it a Facebook post? Was it all of the above? Like how did you simplify your marketing?
A lot of the people that I was working with were on Facebook. I realized a lot of my clients were on Facebook. They were feeling overwhelmed. So I switched the platform I was doing my lives on, from just doing Facebook lives to using a service called StreamYard, which allowed me to stream in multiple places simultaneously, so that people could catch me on my business page, they could catch me in my Facebook private group, and they could catch me on YouTube. And because of that, they were able to go, oh, I like what she's saying, and got the invite into the private Facebook group. So that strategy was really, really huge. And then continually sending out newsletters and letting people know what I was up to, sharing meditations through YouTube for the people that really were getting nervous about Facebook. So I was able to start to use different channels to be able to get information out to people.
Yeah, that's great. And it's just a great reminder too, that sometimes the simplest ideas can be extraordinarily powerful. And how can I serve? Like, how can I show up and serve and bring people in together? Well, I want to talk about your area of expertise. You are, of course, an expert in clarity, a clarity expert, and helping people get clear. And for everyone who's listening, it's probably not exactly what you think. So Nea, I want you to take us through a few strategies that you use and that you work with your clients on that help them get to that point of clarity, and some things that we can do at home to play along.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that the interesting piece about clarity, and when I talk about that, it almost needs subtext, because clarity is often assumed to be, well, if I know where I'm going, then I can get there. But I found over the years in working with so many clients is that the problem isn't knowing where you're going or having a vision. Most Americans, especially, and I'll say Western culture, gets the idea of having a vision, but they can't figure out why they can't get there. And they go, oh, it must be something wrong with me. It must be something I'm missing. I need to go take a class. I need to go do this. And in working with people, what I find the biggest gap is that they don't even know where they are. They have an idea of where they should be, and they are trying to start there rather than where they actually are. And it has a lot to do with the idea that we have assumptions about the fact that we're not very good, or that there's something inherently wrong with us. And so if we can be honest about where we are, we can actually move exponentially. And you and I have talked about exponential growth. Like, how do you hit that? Well, it starts not by just having a vision. It starts by knowing where you are. If you are struggling with the name of your business, but you don't have clients, let's start with talking about how do you get a client, and then worry about the name of your business. What's getting in the way isn't the name of the business, it's the fact that you don't even know what you do yet. So get your clients, start practicing. Being present is really, really key. Get simple with what's going on right here, right now.
Yeah. So can you walk us through an example or a client that you've worked with, not to break confidentiality, but just a client story who, so we can see an example of what it's like to not know where we are right now, because a lot of us like maybe haven't done that analysis or aren't sure. And I think there's elements of it that all of us can look at right now.
Yeah. I can. I think, and we'll say it's a composite, client, because it's such a common thing, especially as we relate to business, is I will have a client who will come to me and they want to work on their vision. They want to grow their business. They're really ready to do this. They're like, I know. And then we get to, well, what is it you are offering? And they just get flummoxed. Like they just cannot even put words to it. Usually because the people that I'm working with tend to work a little bit more in the ethereal, if you will. Like they're healers, they're intuitives. They are trying to bridge their intuitive and metaphysical gifts with business or with whatever else they're offering. And so as we get down to it, it's underneath all of that is that they don't value themselves. But as we dig in and we start to, I say, well, what would you call this? I don't have words for it. Okay, let's take that away. Let's take the whole business piece away. And what is it that you would love? What is it that you would love for your life? Don't just worry about business. That question is so powerful because what it does is it activates our engagement with what is it we're longing for? What is it within us that we are not giving any attention to? What is that part of us that's calling within us? And then where are we feeling discontented? Where do we feel like that is not even available to us? Within that conversation comes clarity. And it comes as what would I love? And out of that comes clarity as to how do I want to serve in the world? How do I want to be in the world? What kind of relationship do I want to be in? Not who do I want to be with, but what does it feel like? What am I wanting to co-create? And from that point of clarity, now we can begin. Now we have a place to build. But if that's not addressed, if we're not touching that, we're always going to feel like we haven't really scratched the itch. And so it's like feeling like we're building a house of cards. You know, just one little thing knocks it all over. There's not really the solid foundation. And we're worthy. Every single human being is worthy of a solid foundation.
Yeah. In all the work that, you've done with your clients and the coaching and the intuitive work, looking at all of that, I mean, what do you wish our listeners knew? Like, what do you wish they knew about themselves or about creating what they want? I mean, you've already touched on those things, but what else? Like, what are the other things you wish they knew?
Ultimately, the thing that I have found to be the most important skill and the most important piece of knowledge is knowing is overrated. Until you put things into action, until you are willing, as Brene Brown would say, be in the arena, you are never truly going to know what you're capable of. Everything up in your head is not enough. When I teach classes, sometimes I say, how many of us have a shelf full of books? You read the books, you get inspired, and it's wonderful to be inspired. Inspiration should lead to action. Inspiration without action only leads to frustration. And somehow it turns in on itself. We start to tell ourselves a story as to why we couldn't take that inspiration to where we wanted it to go. And it turns in on itself and it becomes kind of an encasement of our soul. So we have to be willing to move to action every day. Take one bold, imperfect action, and you will see your life change. And so that is the thing I wish everybody knew. And through that, you will know who you are, how you want to be, what works, what doesn't work, and it will be right and true and correct in that moment. Yeah.
I love it. And I love, when Brene Brown talks about that, stepping into the arena, because it's true. Like, until you step into it, until you leaped from the corporate world into your own business, right? Like you couldn't know what you didn't know at that point. And so here's, as we're wrapping up, what I'm curious about from your perspective, Nea, and what you've seen, it's like, that sounds awesome. And I would love to take action, but I don't even know the first step. I don't know how many times we've heard that, right? Like, it's like, yeah, what is inspired action, or what step should I take? Like, people can get stuck there. What's your input on that? What's your best advice for someone who's like, I don't even know which step to take first?
Yeah, I think, well, I think this is really the role that a coach plays.
Yeah.
If we could all just do it and get there, we would. And one of the things that we've learned in COVID is that you really can't escape yourself. I think that's one thing, like, we are left with ourselves. We don't have the distractions. We can't run out and be distracted going to the mall or go shopping or do all the things that took all of our attention away. We're left with the good, the frustrating, the annoying parts of ourselves. And if we could do better, we would on our own. But sometimes we need somebody to hold that space for us of all the good that is within us, all of the possibility that is true of us. Hold that space until we can start to just get that flicker of a flame within us to find that willingness to go. And then to be honest, it's not just a matter of willingness. It's being in a state of doing it anyway, doing it in spite of ourselves. And it's holding space and getting that nudge.
Yeah.
And so a coach has been one of the greatest things that I've ever done for myself. And it's one of the things that I look and I think, well, am I necessary? Is my work necessary? And I look around at the people that I'm supporting, I'm like, yeah, because if they were left to themselves, just like if I were left to myself, as Wayne Dyer would say, I die with my music still in me. I would not be doing the work that I'm here to do. And that's a shame.
Yeah, so true. And it's, having coaches, I mean, to hold the space for us and the beliefs for us when we can't. And a lot of times too, it's also about the community, right? I know you're in a community, you've created communities. I'm in communities of like-minded CEOs, because like when you see somebody else breaking through and doing it, you're like, okay, fine, I can do it. Like if she can do it or he can do it, I guess I can do it too, right? And so having that community. So that's a perfect segue into, tell us about your community. How can people come and play maybe at the meditation? And I know you have some great next steps to offer our listeners.
Absolutely. So I am on Facebook. That's the easiest way to find me. But of course, neaclare.com. If you come to Facebook, it's Nea Clare Channel. And I have a private Facebook group called the Soulwise Circle, which I do a weekly meditation. All of the meditations that I've done for the last 9 months are available. They are all there. So you can always go and check that out. And it's open to everybody. It's just private so that we don't have any trolls. We don't have anybody coming in and bothering us, which is nice. And then what I'd love to offer and share with anybody, if you're feeling called to wanting to explore a little bit more with coaching or with connecting and getting more clear, I offer everyone a free discovery session with me, which is a great way to start. And if you decide that you want to work with me, there is a wonderful vision course that I do, a vision and calibration course that is a value of $500, and it's to create a vision for your life, be able to get my input and be able to help calibrate it so that it is at its highest vibration so that you can move forward. Sometimes that's all that's needed, is that support to create that. And that I offer to anyone in the group who is interested in moving forward with coaching.
Great. Excellent. And the best way to reach you?
Nea@neaclare.com.
Perfect. And we'll have all of that in the show notes as well. So Nea, I want to thank you for being here. Any final last words for our listeners? We love having you back. We love having you as part of our community.
I just want to remind everybody, take a bold, imperfect action today. It is a great start at any beginning. It doesn't have to be right. Just do it anyway.
Awesome. That's perfect. Nea, thanks for joining us again. Love having you. And to our listeners all over the world, thanks for being here. We so appreciate hearing from you. Email us at contact@salescoachnow.com. That's it for today, everybody. We'll see you back here soon. Bye for now.